Hello and welcome back. After an extended hiatus, the AA NBA podcast returns for the 2025-2026 NBA season. My name is Aiden Hammond. Aditya, introduce yourself and how you doing?
I'm Aditya, and I'm doing pretty freaking good, dude. The NBA is back. The podcast is back. We haven't done this in like 4 years, and uh, the people are waiting.
What are some updates? I Big ones. We both graduated college.
Yeah, so we both went through undergrad programs. Um, I now live in Wisconsin instead of Indiana, so I'm closer to the Bucks than the Pacers, unfortunately. Ew.
But
Um,
W for we split league pass, but we got it on Aditya's email, and so we can both watch the Pacers.
Yes, so we do have. That is also new. We have leveled up from crack streams. We're now official. We're on League Pass.
Yeah, we both have
Um,
an adult income now.
yeah. So that's good. Despite Adam Silver's best efforts to make it impossible to watch the NBA.
Yeah, we at least have we have YouTube TV. We've got uh NBA League Pass, and my parents have a Peacock login that I think I'm going to ask for, which I think will make up the difference for most games.
Yeah, I think League Pass and YouTube TV gets us almost every game, besides like maybe one or two
Yes.
a night. Like we're gonna have all of them. So
Oh, Amazon
um,
Prime. That's the other
I
one.
have I have Prime as well. So we're
I
good
do
there.
too.
Yeah, so we're good
Yeah.
there. Anyway, we're back and we're shaking things up a little bit. Not too much. It's still going to be the same format, but we're trying out some different segments, some new like weekly games, if you will, or topics that we want to bring up. So we're going to start with talking about our notes through the first 5 days of NBA basketball. Um, So I guess real quick, the best way to go about this is to talk about. We'll start with like which games we both watched like intently, like because I had a few games this
Yep.
week where I was like watching and like actively taking notes as I was watching the games, and then I had some games that I just had on and I was like watching at the end of the day. I was kind of tired, and then I obviously had games that I missed because we can't watch every game. We are both employed individuals, unfortunately. So um,
Yes. Uh,
I
uh, Unfortunately for me, but also fortunately for this podcast, I do work a service job, so I have a little bit more flexibility with like my sleeping in ability. So I've got a little bit more of an ability to watch some of the late games than I think Aditya does.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've gone corporate, so late
Yeah.
West Coast games are unfortunate, and then there's some weeks where I got to be working night shifts, or I'm working these 12-hour,
Yeah.
13-hour shifts where I'm just like beat at the end of the day, and I don't want to, I just want to go home and sleep. So, uh, but trying to watch as many games as we can, and as the season progresses, as we're doing these segments, we're hoping to pick a few games each week that are like our highlight marquee matchups that we want to pay attention to, and we'll both probably have a few different games here and there. And then whenever we do our recaps or our standout notes from these games, we can kind of compare and discuss that way. So Aiden, if you want to go first and just I guess mention which games you like have the most notes for. I think they're probably gonna be the same through week one for the most part, but
So the first game that I really like watched intently was the tip off OKC versus Houston.
game one of the season.
Yeah, it was. That game was one team that I was really excited to watch going into the year versus, obviously the defending champs, kind of the Goliath of the NBA right now, a team that we're all kind of trying to figure out who can beat them. And I think going into the year, a lot of people were like, Houston is close to the top of the list
Yeah.
for teams that can beat them. And that game was just awesome. I so Oklahoma City, I watched a decent amount of Oklahoma City's first two games actually. because they, played the Pacers for their second. And, they played in combined 4 overtimes. That was nuts. Uh, but what really stuck out to me in the first game was, how, routine it was for Kevin Durant to have, 25 or whatever he ended up having. It just felt like he was kind of everywhere offensively in the first half, and then in the second half he didn't. He kind of I don't really know what happened, but he wasn't getting as many shots, as many opportunities offensively. Um, Şengün looked like the best center in the NBA for a game. He just
Yeah.
looked awesome. He's a dude that I think I definitely underrated going into the year because my focus on the Rockets is so much more Amen Thompson centric. I think we're both big fans of his game and how he, progressed throughout his rookie year
Yep.
last year. And, I think we both kind of predicted him to have a pretty major leap this year. Uh, but Şengün he was unbelievable. And if they have like three guys, maybe four if Jabari Smith, gets it going consistently, who, you wouldn't be surprised if they drop 30 on you.
Hmm.
And I think that's a really good recipe for a deep playoff run. They have, veteran Kevin Durant, which I obviously, you know, assume will be a positive for a playoff run because it'll give them somebody who's like, been there before. Uh,
Right.
so I don't
And
know. I'll throw it to you.
yeah, so I think coming into the season we both had a similar opinion about the Rockets that like KD was kind of that missing piece as far as like their half court offense last year wasn't amazing. They ran a lot in transition. They were really good defensively, but offensively they were limited, and you kind of saw that in the playoffs. So, yeah, getting KD in theory would help that tremendously. And yeah, I going into this game, I was this is the Western Conference Finals to me, and like, a preview of it anyway. And obviously, like J Dub's not healthy, Fred VanVleet's out for the season. Both of these teams weren't at 100%, but like it was an incredible game. I did miss some of the first quarter. So I missed. I think Amen Thompson started like 12 points real quick, and I missed all of that. Um, but I think the Rockets' half court offense did not look as good as I thought it was going to look coming into this. And I think part of that is also just KD kind of getting worked into that system. Like you said, in the second half, he was a little more passive than I think either of us would have liked him to be. But they still have work to do on that end. I think Amen Thompson still does need to improve as a playmaker. Um, One of my big notes from what I saw in the game is they seem to have a lot of off ball movement and just movement in general, but then those possessions would get stopped and you ended a possession with either an Amen Thompson or KD ISO, who are both great ISO players, but it's not really as fluid as I would have hoped. And Sengun
Right.
was hitting a lot of shots that he most likely will not be hitting all season. Like he kept them in that game very heavily.
Right. Yeah, and they also, benefited from a pedestrian Shea Gilgeous-Alexander game. Like Chet Holmgren was really the offensive number one for a large portion of that game, which I wasn't, really expecting. But he, to throw it to the Thunder a little bit, if Chet Holmgren's hitting step back threes, it's fucking over.
Oh yeah,
Like
he looked incredible that game.
it's done. Like they're winning 67 games or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even mean to do that. They're winning like 65 or more games. Like they are walking to the finals.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure he's going to do that and I'm not sure what J-Dub's going to look like when he comes back, but at the end of the day, that's terrifying. Like that terrified me. I was like, fuck.
yeah, and I did. There was a lot of one of the things about this team that is so insane to me is like how young they are and how good they are. Like AJ Mitchell coming in looked like an NBA veteran. Cason Wallace took a
Yes.
step up, and like the thing is too is this is a team that had the longest season. The Thunder and Pacers had the longest season in the NBA last year, and the Thunder came in and played back to back double overtime games and won both of them. Right, like they looked like refreshed, and like Shea, like you said, he wasn't out of this world in the debut. But like
He's still
when he
very
needed
good.
to, well, yeah, and when he needed to turn up, he turned up. Like it
Right.
wasn't like you were seeing him and being like, oh, like he's visibly exhausted. He's not the same guy right now. Like they look like they're primed for another run,
Yeah.
and that's scary. We're back. Slight
All
technical
right.
difficulties, but I think
Yeah,
we've got it figured out.
we're trying some new stuff
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Trying to make the putting together of the show a little bit easier, but there's going to be some
Yeah.
kinks on the way. Um, but back to Thunder Rockets. I will say also, like I didn't have too many notes for the Thunder because they just looked the same, if not a little like hobbled without J Dub, but like team wise, a lot of their guys improved.
But
But
still they have like 11 dudes
yeah,
who are just awesome. Like
mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's so tough to watch as like a, neutral spectator because it's like, well, just down the stretch they're going to win because they have, the best guys down the stretch. Like that's
mm-hmm.
just what it is with this team.
Yeah.
And
That's why like
yeah, that's really all I got for
I
them.
think a lot of my notes were Rockets oriented because I think this was a game that they should have won. But I think it's hard because the Thunder are one of the best defenses in the league, but I think it exposed some flaws with the Rockets that could persist throughout the season.
I
One
agree. I
thing,
don't know about should have won because they're, brand new team. They swapped out a lot of things. Don't have a point guard really.
that's
Like
fair. Yeah.
I think they're in a very weird. I would not be surprised to see them start like 500 through 20 games and then end up being the 3 seed or something like that.
That's fair. And I also I think this roster is more so for the playoffs. At least the KD acquisition. But one note I did have is that Reed Shepard still needs work.
Oh my god, dude.
He looked not great. I have in my notes Reed Shepard offensively played like a high schooler trying to imitate Devin Booker and was somehow a worse man defender than Jalen Green.
Yeah, dude. I mean, look, it's like essentially I think it's his fourth or his I think he started 3 games last year. I think he played in like maybe 50. So
Yeah.
it's like his, one of his he's still effectively in his rookie season basically. Like he hasn't played a full season of NBA games yet. But he looked bad. And he looked like he was trying to play how he played in the G League when he was, the number 1 guy,
Yeah.
and it just didn't really work down the stretch when you need just a guy to give the ball to Kevin Durant, give the ball to a hot Alperen Şengün, give the ball to Amon Thompson, give the ball to Jabari Smith. Like he was just kind of, you know, not playing super well. He kind of, shot them out of that game at points. He had a
Mm-hmm.
couple, really costly bad reads offensively.
Yep.
I just, I think there's room for him, but I think he's also going to have to improve for them to be competing in the West.
Yeah. And it's tough too because I mean, the Fred Van Fleet injury really changed the dynamic of this team. Like
Yes.
it hurt a lot for them.
That's the worst. Like they could have, like, outside of a Kevin Durant or like Amon Thompson injury, that's probably the worst player that could have gotten hurt for them this
Yeah.
year because they just don't really have another distributor. Like their other distributor is Reed Shepard,
Yeah.
and Amon Thompson's a pretty decent playmaker, but I'm not. He's not a guy where you're like, oh, here's some point guard minutes. So I don't know. that
Yeah.
team that team could start out kind of rough, and I wouldn't be super surprised.
Yeah. But I think, like you said, I think after they get some games under their belt, they'll kind of pull it together. Adding KD is is a pretty significant. And they also offloaded like 3 guards in the offseason as well. Like
Yeah, I mean they got rid of Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, who both got significant minutes for them at like the 2 and 3 spot last year. Like they're gonna have to make some pretty significant adjustments to the rotation.
yeah. One other note I had is Tari Eason needs to start playing like this is a contract year for him. He looked
Yeah,
he's
dude.
he looked bad. He hasn't really. I mean, granted, they've only played 2 games so far, but he hasn't like looked very good in either of them. And in the Thunder game, he looked damn near unplayable. Like it was rough. So I think like they have Dorian Finney-Smith was a good offseason acquisition for them, but like last year the Tari and Amen Thompson duo playing at the same time was like it was terrorizing offenses, and you just haven't really seen that through 2 games.
Right.
So I think that's something they're gonna want him to uh, get back to form.
Right.
Those were all the notes I had for Thunder Rockets.
All right.
Oh, sorry, one
Um.
more. Sorry, one more thing I
Oh. Oh
forgot.
yeah. Go ahead.
Um, I noticed a lot, especially more so in overtimes than in the regulation. There was a lot of Sangoon being guarded by Alex Caruso, which I didn't love. I get the concept and it does work in spurts, but I think prolonged periods of time with Alex Caruso guarding a big man is just very taxing on that team, and it showed because Sangoon was kind of having his way in the post, and even with some of his perimeter shots,
Yeah.
like so that's something I don't know. I don't. I also don't know if that's going to be happening throughout the season or if that was just for this game, but um, I didn't love that. That's all.
All right.
Um,
Next game I have a decent amount of notes for is San Antonio Dallas.
okay.
Uh, I just I think that Victor Wembanyama might be the best player in the NBA.
Dude, he is insane.
He plays at such a consistent level through like 30 minutes that you are like there are not a lot of basketball players that I've seen where you can win a game with 30 minutes of their best play, and
Well,
he's one of them.
dude, he put up fucking 45 and what, or was it 40 and 15
That's
in
the
30
thing.
minutes? Like, it's unbelievable. And
My
and through
player.
that, he had like 4 blocks.
That's a my player, dude. That's that's a ridiculous. I mean, it's a ridiculous stat line, but also they had a consistent lead and ended up blowing him out of the water in that game.
Yeah.
He was making Anthony Davis look like a rookie, dude.
Yeah.
I I have never seen anything like what I saw in that game, where it was just like one dude saying, "All right, I'm here." And he's had a lot of games where he's, played super well and, put up bonker stat lines with like 8 blocks or whatever. But that game was a statement to me as a fan, and I think just the NBA in general, that like you better win a championship right now, like this year, because
The window's
once Dylan
closing.
Harper develops and once Stefan Castle gets to a better place, and all these other guys that they have, like maybe Jeremy Sohan improves, and once De'Aaron Fox comes back, like they're gonna be terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, this team is crazy, and I also you noted like Stefan Castle, his development has been and will continue to be crucial for this team. He looked really damn good playing with the starters. Um,
Yep.
the Stefan Castle Devin Vassell guard duo worked wonders. I liked that a lot. I think they complemented each other really well. And then again, obviously, when you have Vic generating offense, it makes it that much easier for everyone else. But I really like this team. I think Harper off the bench is really good. He will continue to improve throughout the season, probably become more of that lead guy. I don't know. You mentioned De'Aaron Fox, and I think we both have a similar mindset that he probably doesn't finish this season as a Spur, or at least I wouldn't like to see
Yeah.
him finish the season as a Spur. I do think it's hard because they just got him last season, but it's weird to say that trading him is probably the best move for them. I don't think you can have him replace Stephon Castle right now, the way Stephon Castle's been playing as a second year guard. And I also don't want him taking the ball out of Dylan Harper's hands off the bench because I think that development is super important for this team. So it's weird to say, but I do think De'Aaron Fox trade is probably in the Spurs' best interest.
Yeah, I agree. I also think it's in De'Aaron Fox's best interest at this point. Like I it's not that I don't think there's a place on the Spurs for him. It's just that I think that this is not a year where the Spurs are like, "Oh, let's go win a championship." So I think that this was kind of a development year for a lot of their guys. And I think if you're prioritizing development, it's both bad for them and bad for De'Aaron Fox to keep De'Aaron Fox there because you're going to stunt Dylan Harper or you're going to not give De'Aaron Fox the minutes he needs or the minutes he deserves, like as a, top 40 player or whatever he is at this point, coming off an injury.
Right. That's a good point. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's kind of my thoughts on the Spurs at this point. Like they look scary. Harper put up 20 today. I mean, it was against the Nets, but it was his first career 20-point game. He's 19. Like
Yeah.
he's very good.
Yeah, no, he's looked good. He's one of those rookies that is going to have some growing pains throughout the season, I think, but like
Yeah,
he's looked up to the task. Like I think by the end of the season we'll be looking at him as like a serious like one of the most important pieces to this team.
agreed.
Um, on the Mavericks side of things, I said Cooper Flag looked uh, bad. Now that was the first game,
Yeah,
so obviously, like, and running him at point guard at his first NBA game in a four
didn't
big man
love
lineup
that.
wasn't my favorite idea, but he struggled, and that's fine. He's a rookie; he's gonna struggle through the last few games. He's looked a little more comfortable too, so it's not like he's just been like ass all season. I think they've played 3 games, so he's been steadily getting better. But I didn't like this four big man lineup they had going on where they were like mixing in like Cooper
Yeah,
Flag, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, PJ Washington, and like they just have too many bigs and really not a whole lot of guards. And it's just I don't know. This I know a lot of people had this team still as like kind of a play-in or like in the mix for a playoff spot. Some people had this team as like an actual like championship contender when everyone's healthy. I did not. I had them as like I think 13 seed in the West. So I don't really have confidence in this team with the way this roster is constructed at all. I think you got to Anthony Davis and Kyrie are both guys that are best served as a number 2 or 3, and Cooper
yep,
Flag is a rookie. And the roster around the Mavericks was built and catered towards Luka's skill set, and you no longer have that skill set in the locker room, and so it's just the dynamic of this team is completely different, and it doesn't really play as a cohesive unit like it should.
right. Yeah, they're gonna be weird this year. I still kind of think that they're gonna end up being solid at some point, but it may not be for a minute. They're gonna have to figure some stuff out with the rotations they're playing.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell is going to have. They're gonna have to get some good minutes out of him, which is a tough ask at this point, but uh, it's gonna have to happen for them to be good. I
Right.
think.
Yeah. I think Clay needs to step up. I think I mean, just their guards in general. Like their guards who previously weren't expected to be much more than spot up shooters and complementary pieces are going to
Yep.
have to step up and be much more important than they were probably expecting to be when they were brought into this team.
Yep.
And their defense doesn't look great. I mean, they gave up like Keontae George dropped 34, 11, and like 5 stocks. Like this team is bad. Like Anthony Davis is still a good player, great player, but there's only so much he can do with the way this team's
Right.
not catered towards his talents. It's just is what it is. Um, so yeah, those are the notes I have for this game. It just the Spurs looked incredible and the Mavericks looked bad. Like
Yeah, pretty much. Um, Another team that I have watched pretty extensively through the first couple games of the year, the Golden State Warriors. They're in the late slot a lot. I watched a pretty good amount of the Lakers game and a pretty good amount of the Nuggets game, and both of them, uh, Steph Curry, ageless wonder. Um, that was what really stuck out to me about the Denver game, especially.
yeah, Steph Curry's. I mean, he's the same player. Like he's been on an absolute tear. Um, I think Jonathan Kuminga also has looked much better playing alongside Steph Curry than in
Yep.
previous seasons. He's taken a step up. He's playing a lot as a primary defender. He's running in transition, getting to his spots pretty well. And that duo, like in the past few years, has always kind of been the problem child with this team of like Jonathan Kuminga just can't play with Steph Curry. They don't complement each other well, and that was making him
Right.
unhappy with his minutes and his role in the team. And that was a big thing this offseason was his whole trade request. But um, they, yeah, they seem to have figured it out for the time being, and this team looks
Yeah,
really
I
good.
think he hit five or
Yeah.
six threes in that first game.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing very well off Steph, very well off Jimmy Butler, who put up 31 in that first game.
Yeah.
Um, who's also looking like a guy that is not, quite washed yet, or not quite washed. He's looking like still an all-star.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of a question going into the season of like, how much gas Jimmy Butler still had in the tank.
Yeah.
How much gas Steph Curry still had in the tank. And through a couple games, I think it's really looked like there's some gas in those tanks. They played a back to back against Portland. They lost that game. Portland coming off of, the biggest scandal in modern NBA history, maybe their coach being at the center of it.
Yeah.
Um, but that was a huge win for Portland. And a back-to-back loss for Golden State. They're old. They're old and they're not very deep. I'm not gonna hold their back-to-back record against them this year because I think it's gonna be pretty bad.
Right.
Uh,
But I do think that's an important point is that they are old and they lack depth because I personally have the Warriors as like not a great team. I think in my preseason standings, I think I had them missing the playoffs. Or no, they were the 9th seed. So they're playing team in my preseason predictions. And like I think that's the reason why. Because when Steph Curry's healthy, he's phenomenal. When Jimmy Butler's healthy, he's phenomenal. Like the guys on this team are really good, but they're all like, on the later half of 30. And
right.
if Steph Curry, is gonna have this crazy high usage rate where he's gonna be putting up 30 some every night and like, doing things that MVP Steph was doing, he's going to, pull a hamstring or strain something or just
Right.
be sore and have to miss a few games. And I think in those games, like you lose. That's their identity at this point. And I don't think that is primed for end of season and going into the playoffs because your body can only take so much. And especially as he's like, 37, 38 years old, whatever he is.
Right.
Like,
They're gonna have to be like, 50-10 in games he plays because he's gonna miss 15 to 20.
yeah.
And that's a tough ask for a team that is as deep as they are.
Yeah.
Also, Jimmy Butler's probably going to miss a decent amount of time just with, whatever range of injuries he ends up having. Hopefully, nothing major. Um, but he's just based on his history the last couple of years, he's probably going to miss some decent time. So it's like if you get them together for 50 games a year, you got to win 45 of those, and that is tough. Like that is a
Mm-hmm.
tough ask.
Yeah.
Um, I think I'm a little higher on the Warriors than you are because I'm not as convinced that both of them are going to miss a ton of time. Like,
So I think it's going to be tricky for them this year, but I do think that, ultimately if both those guys play 60, 65 games, it'll be a at least 7 seed for them, maybe 6.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I just I think yeah, health is a big factor. I think honestly like my regular season prediction might be too low. I think this is a team that's I mean we saw it last year. Steph Curry went out with his hamstring injury against the Timberwolves and that was it. That was the series.
Right.
And that's just a little concerning to me as they kind of are bringing back the same strategy again.
Right, agreed.
Um Another team I want to talk about is the Boston Celtics. Um,
Mm.
Coming into this season, I predicted them to be the 5 seed. I predicted that even without Jason Tatum, they had enough guys on this team. They were really deep still, even after all of their offseason trades to get under the second apron. I thought Joe Mazzulla, and I still do think Joe Mazzulla is a very good coach. I think Derek White's a great player. Jaylen Brown's a great player. Like they have guys, they have guys, but through 3 games, they are 0-3, and they are looking booty cheeks.
Yeah,
They've looked
I
rough.
think
They've looked bad.
yeah, I think a lot of people, including myself, are maybe having a come to Jesus moment with just how important Jason Tatum was to that team. Jason Tatum, I obviously thought he was very important, but I did think they were deep enough to still be in at least contention for a play-in this year without him, and like they just don't look good at all.
No,
Uh, they I admittedly haven't watched a ton of them, so I'm not gonna make any like crazy, predictions about the rest of their year besides just saying like, in the limited time I've watched of them and from what I've seen and, box scores and, just the everything that seems to be coming down from them from through 3 games doesn't look great. Uh, and I'm not sure, if they're going to be much. I think they're going to have to get some very good minutes out of Jaylen Brown and Derek White to be competitive. And, by very good minutes, I mean like they're both gonna have to be all stars.
yeah, I agree. I think they Derek White last year was one of those guys. He was interesting because I think he was pretty close to making the All Star game, and I think part of that was just because the Celtics were just so damn good, offensively and defensively. I mean Derek White is elite. He he's pretty good on both ends. I think he's an elite defender, but I do
Right.
think he like this season he has to kind of step up and be an actual All Star, not just like borderline All Star on a really good team for them to have a chance. Because Jaylen Brown, I I thought coming into the season he could still do it. Like he's great. He's a great player. I thought he can be the number one temporarily for a season and like it would be fine. He has not really looked like it yet, and I think yeah, he definitely needs that kind of that co-star next to him. And it used to be Jason
Yeah.
Tatum, who was incredible, but now it's got to be Derek White or something.
Right. He is a number 2 or a number 3.
Yeah.
And, if he's the number 1, you're gonna be fighting for the play in at best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, Another note I had. This isn't really team specific, but it's kind of been reoccurring as a problem over the last few years. But like the shooting, like the jump shot foul bait,
Oh my
has
god,
kind
dude.
of reached a new level this year that I feel like it was bad last year, it was bad the year before that, but through 5 days of basketball, it has been insane this year. It's just something that when we were growing up watching basketball, like I saw Dwayne Wade do it all the time, and the league implemented rules like, hey, this is not a foul, this is not natural, whatever. And then it kind of came back with like James Harden, Trae Young, and the league implemented rules again, but it's just coming back again. And the reason I made this note specifically was for a few reasons. One was Marcus Smart. I think he's going to be the most annoying player in basketball this year. He makes
Yep.
the Lakers very hard to watch. But another
Yep.
one was Anthony Davis. In the Spurs game, he had one that I forget where it was or what the context was, but Vic was guarding him, and it was like egregious. I was like, how can you
He's
as an
an
NBA referee like say that is a shooting motion?
he is an underrated foul baiter, I think. Just because I think a lot of the focus has not been on him as much in the last couple years, just because the Lakers haven't been competing for championships. Uh, you know, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is kind of a big, leader of the hate that players get for that. Uh, I think he, attracts a lot of that just for, his play style and because he was the MVP last year and the Finals MVP last year and the scoring leader last year, and
Yeah.
he seemingly won everything you could win while also being kind of controversial in that regard. Um, but I also, you mentioned those eras like the Dwayne Wade and Kobe Bryant and LeBron to an extent, and then James Harden and Trae Young and again LeBron to an extent. uh, and then this modern era where it's like it's once again kind of coming back and becoming a problem, and we're eventually going to have to see some rules that come in and fix it. And it just I think once again proves the point that the NBA play style is cyclical, and you're always going to have guys that are trying to take advantage of the rules, and not just the rules but the way the rules are enforced. Like you can, if you have an understanding on how refs call a certain thing, you are doing your team a disservice by not trying to exploit that rule. Like that is the number one problem I have with the discourse around this is it is the ultimate don't hate the player, hate the game thing for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Where
It is. It is an
I
officiating thing, 1,000%.
you have to fix it, but until you fix it, I am not going to sit here and bitch about it being exploited by whoever exploits it, because I would do the same thing if I was an NBA player. It is a, just total disconnect I have with the discourse around this.
Yeah, I agree. And I think some of it is targeted towards like you mentioned Shea got an insane amount of flack last season and even the year before that and even this season for being a foul baiter. But like we watched him a lot last year. He went to a fucking finals game and like he'll have obviously he's going to have one or two of those a game, but like he also just initiates a lot of contact in the way he plays. Like he drives to the basket a lot. He
Right.
forces the defender to move in a completely different way. Like he's so shifty with the ball, he's quick, he's got a crazy handle like
Right. Like I'm
it's
I'm sorry I watched a lot of James Harden. It's not the same thing.
yeah, no.
It
James Harden
it
was actually like I
Shea
he
is a
was
physical player. He is a very like, you know, not quite a Giannis Antetokounmpo play style, but in the same way that people bitch about Giannis getting free throws, it's like you drive 20 times a game, you're gonna get to the line 7 times and
yeah.
end up shooting 14 free throws. Like that's
Hmm.
just how it goes statistically.
Yeah. And I think again, like some of the guys, like Luca gets a pretty good whistle too. But like Marcus Smart was like damn near unwatchable. I watched the like half of the
Right.
Lakers Warriors game, and like there was a lot of he wasn't necessarily doing the foul baiting in a like for jump shots, but like just throwing himself around, like making a spectacle of it. And it's just like at some point the NBA has kind of got to step in and do some training with the referees to get this under control because it impacts the viewing
Right.
experience like pretty significantly.
It does, and it's like I never want to watch it. I never want to watch a game for 3 hours and then see it end on free throws. And that's what happens a lot now, where it's like a game goes to overtime, a game goes to 2 overtimes, a game goes to 3 overtimes, and it ends on 3 free throws. And you feel like you wasted 3 hours when that happens. And I don't want to feel like that when I'm watching the NBA because I love the NBA.
Yeah, no, I agree. So that was one note. Obviously, the NBA Adam Silver's not watching this, I don't think, but something to call out. So
Yeah.
next up, we went over some of the games we watched. Did you have any more games that you had like highlighted? Or anything?
No.
Okay.
No.
So we went over some of the games we watched this past week and some of the teams we watched a little more closely. I figured we could use this time to like go over some teams that we're interested in and are going to watch a little more closely this week. So like for me, for example, like tomorrow, we're recording this on Sunday night. Tomorrow, the Cavs and Pistons play at 6:00 Central, and I'm going to be watching that game because I think it's going to be really good. And I also think throughout this week, I'm going to be watching the Nuggets a lot more closely and the Lakers a little more closely as well.
Yeah, I ditto on the Lakers for me. I think they're going to be one of the more interesting teams in basketball this year, just in terms of how the fuck are they going to make the playoffs with that roster?
Yeah.
Especially like if they are 5 games above 500 when LeBron comes back, that is a massive success. They are a Luka Doncic injury away from the lottery, I think.
Well, he's missing like a week or two now as well. So
right.
He didn't play tonight, and Austin Reeves had 50.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing with the Lakers, especially like this next week while Luka's out, is just how much of that offense is going to be run through Austin Reeves and how much extra money is he going to make himself in the free agency market with this, little Luka injury.
I mean, he's playing for $200 million. Like,
yeah, agree. Like, well, if the Lakers pay him, but I think I don't know if he like. I mean, the Lakers have to pay him, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, especially now that they have private equity. Like, I've been forgetting the last couple months that I got to reevaluate how I think about the Lakers because it's not just a mom and pop shop anymore. Like they've got more money than God and they're the Lakers. Like it used to just be like, oh, they're the Lakers. Like they'll get every free agent. But the thing that hamstrung them is that they were this mom and pop organization, like whatever. Now they've got this private equity infusion and it's like, fuck, dude. Like,
yeah,
they could just they can pay Austin Reeves. They could just give him $200 million and he's off the free agency market. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was eating.
No,
yeah,
you're good.
It's the Lakers are interesting just because like you said, like LeBron's gone for a few months, and like we're gonna have to see how this team stays afloat. But like, dude, Luka, 2 games, he's averaging like 42, 8,
Yeah.
8. Like he's insane, and he looks healthy. He looks fast. I had some notes about the Lakers from last week that it wasn't extensive. I didn't watch them too much, but like Luka looked healthy. He looked faster. He's still not a good defender, but it looks like he's at least giving a little bit more effort on that end.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to have to, because one of the notes I had mentioned is that this Lakers roster is just complete. It's just incomplete. Um, the Mavs kind of through the last like 2 years have spent a lot of time orchestrating and building this roster around Luka that was as good as it could be.
Yep.
And they made a finals run with it, right? Like they looked really good. And now he's traded to the Lakers, and it feels like this team is very much like the roster is like a 3 to 4 years ago Mavericks, where you have
Yes.
your scoring guard. Austin Reeves isn't as good as Kyrie Irving, but that same archetype or mold of player, and then you just have a bunch of role players that don't really fit.
Right.
And he's looked great. I hope he can stay healthy throughout this whole season. I'm just concerned about as you get into November, December, January, February, especially if LeBron is sidelined for longer than they originally thought, like this team
Right.
could sink really
Which,
fast.
like, he's 40.
Yeah. And sciatica is
Uh,
not something that's, I mean, it's a nerve injury. Like, it's hard to come back
right.
from. So,
Especially
but
when you're 40.
yeah, especially when you're 40. So that's a
Um,
team I'm going to be kind of looking at a little bit this week,
yeah.
especially without
Um,
Luca.
Another team I'm going to be kind of interested in this week and, maybe this first month of the season is Charlotte.
Oh, that's a good one.
They're 2-1 through 3 games. In their 2 wins, they have a point differential of 22.5. Uh,
Yeah.
they played the Sixers really close to yesterday. That was a game where Brandon Miller didn't play super well, but you have LaMelo with 27. You got Colin Sexton putting up 21. Like Colin Sexton's been good for them. Um, Colin Knippel puts up some decent scoring, and he was a fourth overall pick. I think it's a reasonable expectation that he's going to be in the rookie of the year race and pretty solid this year. I also think he's a guy that fits well with their offense. They needed, another wing. I
Yeah.
think that they were a team that would have been a cool fit for Ace Bailey, but ultimately I think they needed a guy who didn't need the ball as much as Ace Bailey, and I think Con Knippel was that.
I agree.
Um, and I think they're just going to be interesting. Their next couple games, they've got Miami tomorrow. I'm definitely going to be tuned into that game, especially I think it's the first game of the NBA Cup or the
Oh,
first.
I didn't
I
realize
don't
that was
know if
starting so soon.
I don't know if that's it's yeah. I'm looking at their schedule right now. It says NBA Cup group stage. Um.
That's
Oh
the
wait,
game
no,
on
sorry.
Tuesday.
That's. Oh wait, no. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Never mind. They play Miami um tomorrow, and then they play
Oh yeah,
the
it's Monday for you.
yeah.
You're past midnight.
I'm all fucked up because I'm looking at the Google calendar.
Oh, yeah.
Um. So they've got Miami, Orlando, Minnesota, Utah this week. I will be tuned in to at least 2 of those games. Probably the first. Well, no, I'll be tuned into 3 of those games.
Yeah. And that is a good test for them because so far, I mean, they're 2-1. Their 2 wins are against the Nets and the Wizards, and their one loss was
Yeah.
in a close one to the Sixers. So it's not like they haven't played top tier talent yet. They've looked good. They uh, have the highest point per game average in the NBA, and they're second in 3-point field goal percentage through 3 games.
Yep.
They're fourth in assists, sixth in turnovers, seventh in field goal percentage. So their offense is firing in all cylinders. Defensively, they're all right. They're 14th in opposing points per game. They're ninth in opposing field goal percentage. They're seventh in rebounding. Like they have looked good. The quality of their wins is obviously very scary right now. So playing
Yeah,
against
for
legitimate
sure.
contenders, I think it's a good test for them.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how they are against Miami tomorrow because Miami's a weird roster, and obviously, one of their key rotation players was just arrested. the other day.
Yeah.
So they're kind of in a weird spot, but they're also, 2-1. I think they're well coached and going to be in the mix in the Eastern Conference this year. So if Charlotte's able to lay the proverbial wood on them as they did, a couple times this last week, to Washington and Brooklyn, I think it'll be a statement win for as statement of a win as an October NBA game can be.
Right. But I think I agree though. It does solidify them a little bit more, kind of as the season progresses. Um, Another team I wanted to mention is the Bucks. Now, we can't
Ooh.
watch the Bucks because we're in the Wisconsin network, unfortunately, so they are blackout unless we want to crack stream it. But the Bucks have looked good through 3 games. They lost to the Cavs tonight, but they beat the Raptors and they beat the Wizards. Two, again, not amazing wins, but for a team that coming into the season I had very low expectations for, like, they have looked better. Their offense has looked better, and granted, part of that is also just Giannis averaging like 35, 12, and
Yeah.
36, 16, and 7, playing like 30 minutes a game. Cole Anthony's looked pretty good. I think they're getting a lot out of their shooters, like Gary Trent and AJ Green.
Yep.
So obviously, I hope this can continue. It's still early, but they play the Knicks on Tuesday, and I think that'll be a really good test for them as well. And like as a Pacers fan, I don't want the Bucks to win anything, but
Sure.
I do like Giannis, and I think the league is better when his team is good.
Agreed. And yeah, on Cole Anthony, um, he was a dude, I think, going into this year where we both kind of agreed, like, if he can play to his ceiling, the Bucks, I'm still not really sure how good they're going to be, but they could certainly be in the mix in the Eastern Conference playoff picture at the least. And they've got Giannis Antetokounmpo. Maybe they're competing for a championship, depending on how good Cole Anthony is.
Right.
But he has played very well through the first couple games of the year. I've watched a little bit of the Bucks through some means, and they're interesting at the very least. They've got some weird rotations going, but I think the two-man game with Giannis and Cole Anthony could be like you know these guys average 60 and then they kind of fill in the gaps with everybody else.
Yeah. No, I agree. Okay. Any other teams that you want to highlight going into this week?
Just a little quick Washington, because we just mentioned 2 teams that beat Washington in the first week. And I think Washington is a team that we both are interested in this year.
Yeah. I had them in the play-in, so I need them to
Yeah.
come up.
They beat Dallas. I did not watch a second of that game, so I'm not gonna act like I did. But I think that we've both got eyes on Alex Sarr breakout this year, and I think that they could be in the mix for some trades depending on what their young core looks like, what Alex Sarr looks like, who becomes available, because they've got the assets to trade for some guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're an interesting team this year, just, based on well, if they are decent, they'll be decent, and if they're not decent, they'll probably be in the mix for a trade.
Yeah. And yeah, I think I agree. I want to see, again, still early this season. There's a long season ahead of us. but I do want to see more development out of their young guys. Like Alex Sarr has looked underwhelming, and
Yeah.
maybe that's just because of the expectations I had for him coming into the season. But he hasn't looked amazing. Keontae Johnson, is it Johnson or George on the Wizards? I think it's Johnson.
George.
Oh, Keontae George. He has not looked. Or he looked really good in the Mavs game, and he's looked like he's taken a step up just in general. So I'm hoping that continues. But I need to see more from their young guys.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's Kaishan George, not Keontae. That's my bad. I think Keontae George is the Jazz guy. So my bad.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
CJ is looking pretty good though.
Yeah, CJ's looking good. Trey Johnson's looking good as a rookie coming in. He's looked. I mean,
I think
pretty damn
CJ's a guy that also could be in one of their guys who could be in the mix for a potential move, depending on what teams are wanting him basically in February.
I mean, him and Chris Middleton, right? Like they're both kind of at
if-
that age where you ship them to a contender at the deadline.
Yeah, like if Golden State's the 6th seed at the deadline and they're like, "Hey, we need another player. We'll give you a future first." I think Washington should definitely take that.
Yeah. All right. So like, those are the teams we're going to be paying attention to this week. The next thing I wanted to do, and I'm pretty sure, let me know if you don't have it prepared and we can come back to this, Aiden. But I wanted to do some awards predictions and seasons predictions, if you have them.
Yeah, do you want to do like the preseason ones or the 1 through 3 games? Because my rookie of the year has changed.
I think both. So we'll say our preseason one and then be like through 3, because I have 1 or 2 that have changed as well. So we'll talk through it, bring up both, and then mention whichever one you want to. But I think it'd be fun, and I mentioned this to you obviously like when we were like planning this whole thing. I think it'd be fun to do like a quarterly check-in almost.
Agreed.
So like we're giving our preseason first week of the season predictions, and then we'll come back in like December, and we'll come back in March, and we'll come back by the time playoffs start and kind of go over like what we were right about, what we were wrong about, things that surprised us, didn't surprise us, whatever, and just I don't know. I feel like it'd be kind of cool to see what we were right about because. If anybody is a longtime viewer of this podcast, which is probably just Noah, he would remember that I predicted the Jokic MVP when it happened, and that was like kind of like one of the highlights of my life. So, got to be right again,
Yeah.
But let's. Yeah. Do you want to start? You want me to start?
Yeah, I don't know about you. I don't care about 6th man of the year at all. Do you care to predict it?
So I forgot that one.
Okay, so no.
Yeah, that's my bad. I knew I was forgetting one. I had my list, and I was like, I'm missing something, but I don't know what it is. So yeah, we'll skip 6th man of the year.
All right, so you want to start out with deep? So are we doing preseason first, and then we'll do our like through 3 games? How that's changed?
Sure.
So my preseason deep boy was Wemby.
Okay.
I think enough said on that.
Yeah.
He's a
Hasn't
monster.
changed through 3 games.
Yeah, that one is not one of my ones that has changed through 3 games. I'll go ahead and spoil that.
Yeah, I mean the Spurs coming into the season, we obviously knew if Wemby was healthy, like because he was the guy, he was like 2nd or 3rd last year, and he played like 40 games or whatever. Like I think he led the league in blocks last year through his limited time. Like he's crazy.
Yeah, he played like 50 games and he led the league in blocks by like 10 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, something crazy. And through 3 games, the Spurs have the 2nd best opposing points per game. They're first in opposing field goal percentage, they're 2nd in blocks, and they're 1st in rebounding. So I mean, he's doing his thing. He had against Brooklyn today. He had 6 blocks and 3 steals, which is just insane. I think against the Pelicans, he had like 9 blocks or something crazy. Like he got dunked on by Zion one time and then blocked him 5 times in a row or something stupid. And I think he had like 3 or 4 against the Mavs. So he's gonna break the block record at some point in the next few years. Maybe
Oh,
this
for
year,
sure.
honestly, because
I mean, he's gonna have a quadruple double, I think, this
yeah,
year, maybe.
it's
Like,
possible. Yeah. So I also had him as my DPOY as a shock to know. I think he's like kind of the runaway favorite at this point, right? Like even coming
oh
into
yeah.
the season, it was
I
kind
don't
of a
even I didn't
landslide.
even look at what his odds were, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was like minus 200 to be depoy going into this year.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we got the boring one out of the way.
Yeah. Next up, my preseason rookie of the year or preseason most improved player.
Let's do most improved.
My preseason most improved was Andrew Nemhard.
Okay.
Um, I was, I am pretty convinced that Andrew Nemhard is going to get the minutes and the playing time and the offensive shine without Tyrese Halliburton
Mm-hmm.
to get the nod for most improved player. That was a big one for me because just watching his how much he improved from in the playoff run alone was very special, I think.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he was one of our most important players. And I think defensively, he's very underrated. He played Shea as good as anybody can in the finals. He played
Yep.
Jalen Brunson as good as anyone can in the conference finals. Like he is very underrated as a player, and maybe not underrated. I think maybe the finals run woke some people up to what Andrew Nemhard
Yeah,
can
I
do.
think
But
people are pretty high on him. I don't know if they're as high as I am.
yeah, that's fair. Um, my preseason most improved player was Denny Avdia of the Portland Trailblazers. Portland is a team I'm semi high on. I think they can be a play-in team. I don't think they're like a contender or even going to be like a top 5 or 6 seed, but I think they can be a pretty solid play-in team. He, I think this team is his to take the reins of right now. With the way
Yep.
he's been playing, I think he can really be that point forward type player. I think his defense is pretty underrated. Um, and like I I don't remember, I don't have the exact numbers pulled up right now, but I remember like towards the end of last season with the Blazers, he was playing really really well. And I'm kind of expecting that to continue going into this season. The first not Chauncey, the first game they had without Chauncey Billups, he looked pretty good, and they won. Like so,
Yeah.
hopefully they beat the Warriors by 20, who we were just singing their praises like 20 minutes ago or whatever. And Denny had
Right.
26, 5 and 6, and he was plus 16. He shot 11 of 18 from the field. Like if he can keep that up this season, and the Blazers are a somewhat competent franchise, kind of going into April. I could see this award being his.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that's a good take.
All right, let's go to rookie of the year.
My preseason rookie of the year was Cooper Flag. Uh, I was honestly kind of high on the Mavericks going into the year because of Cooper Flag. I think he's a very plug and play type skill set for the NBA. And I also think he's a guy who does pretty much everything at least a replacement level, which in the NBA is hard to come by for a rookie. Like I think he scores well, I think he defends well, I think he rebounds well, I think he passes well. Like he's a good playmaker. Um, he's a guy who can shut down the opposing team's best player, which I think is you know pretty tough in a guy that can also be your number one scorer. Uh, so I was particularly excited for Cooper Flag going into the year, and how he would play next to Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell and PJ Washington. And, so far it's been a little funky. Uh, but I'll throw it to you, Aditya.
Yeah, so my rookie of the year is also Cooper Flag. I, for people that know me, like I don't watch college basketball like really at all. I'll tune into the tournament here and there, but that's kind of it. And so my my rookie of the year projection is pretty much exclusively just who has the best odds, and it was Cooper Flag going into the season. Unless there's a player that I'm like really tuned into, but coming into this draft, my guy was Ace Bailey, and he didn't look great in preseason. He hasn't looked great to start the season. So I wasn't gonna pick him. So my preseason rookie of the year was Cooper Flag. Okay, so now what's next? Coach of the year? Is that the next
Yeah,
one
let's
up?
do Coach of the Year and then MVP.
All right. My coach of the year pick is Jamal Mosley of the Orlando
Ooh.
Magic.
Ooh.
I am very
I
high
like
on the
it.
Magic post Desmond Bain trade. I think they can be um, a top 2 or 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, and if that is the case, and if my projection is correct, I think they could get it because I think at this point, like if I have the Cavs as the 1 seed, and I don't think uh, who's their coach? It's Kenny, right?
Yeah, Kenny.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna win it just because they were the 1 seed last year and they kind of flamed out, and like even though the playoffs isn't supposed to play a part in award voting, you kind of get to a point where team or voters are like, all right, you were really good in the regular season, now we got to see a little bit more. And I think you're going to kind of see a similar thing with the Cavs this year. I don't think Mark Daignault's going to win it because, again, the Thunder are just going to be as good as they were last year. They brought back all the same
Right.
guys, and awards voters like to keep it fresh. So that's why I got Jamal Mosley, mainly just because of the Magic's jump with the Desmond Bain acquisition.
Fair. Yeah, I like that one. My rookie or my Coach of the Year is Ty Lue. Preseason. I am.
Ooh,
I don't know. I don't know if I don't know how apparent I've made it over the years. I'm a huge Ty Lue guy. I love Ty Lue. I think he is maybe the best coach in the NBA right now. Um, he he just he gets so much out of these teams, and he's gotten a lot out of Clippers teams that he probably shouldn't have gotten a lot out of with Kawhi Leonard injuries or Paul George injuries or James Harden injuries. And I think this is the year. I think they're deep enough. I forgot they had John Collins. I was watching them and I was like, oh fuck, they have John Collins. I completely forgot about. Like I was like, yeah, they got Brooke Lopez and Bradley Beal coming in. Got John Collins too, man. Kawhi's still Kawhi. James Harden's still, 75% of what he was at his peak, which is still a, all-star level player, I think. Um, they've got guys, and I think that Ty Lue is the coach to get the most out of these guys. It's a lot of older players. But I think that ultimately it's going to be a team that maybe overperforms some preseason predictions, maybe gets like a 5 or a 6 seed, and I think Ty Lue gets Coach of the Year.
yeah, I don't hate that pick. I the thing with them, their season is just so entirely dependent on health that
Yeah.
like you mentioned, like if they're healthy, I think they can be like a top 4 or 5 seed, and I think Ty Lue can coach them into contention. But like Kawhi is a wild card, James Harden's older, Bradley Beal is good, but he's had some injury issues in the past as well. Like Brooke Lopez is on the older, not on the older side. He is actually just old.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the biggest concern I have with that team. But yeah, I completely agree. I think if the Clippers are good and if they're healthy and they're going into April and May as like solid playoff team, I could see that happening.
Yeah, my rule for if a player is old is if they are feasibly old enough to have been my teen dad. And Brooke Lopez was born in 1988. I was born in 2002. He would have been 14. So
So he's old.
little early, but feasibly could have happened. So
Now,
yeah, he is officially old. He's officially unk.
now that metric is going to have to change as we get older, because the players
It
coming in now are younger than us.
it is it is. But for now, my metric for an old NBA player is if he is old enough to have been my teen dad.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that metric. I think I'm gonna adopt it.
It's a good one, dude.
Yeah.
It works.
All right. Next up, we got the MVP. My preseason MVP prediction was Victor Wembanyama. We've sung his praises plenty on this episode, so I'm not gonna go too much into it, but I do solidly maintain that belief. That has not changed.
Fair enough. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I mean, yeah, he's great. The thing is, through the first 3 games, he's done exactly what I thought he was going to do and more. Like,
Yeah.
he's my defense player of the year. He's the best defense player in the game that the game has seen for a long time. And offensively, he's still great. I mean, he hit a dribble drive crossover step back 3 and 1. Like what do you do about that?
My favorite thing is when he does like a turnaround fadeaway like 15-footer and it's like
he's basically uncontested,
the
man.
the shot contest is a foot lower from
Yeah.
from the point of release.
Yeah, he had a fucking reverse double clutch dunk.
That was one of the best plays I've ever seen anybody make.
Dude, it was insane. Like, if he can keep this up and play 65, what's the 65 games what he has to play or whatever? Like,
Yeah.
There's no way the award's
That's
not
gonna
his.
that's gonna be the trouble for him. Is like,
that's true.
if he misses 2 weeks with like a twisted ankle or something, like suddenly,
Yeah,
that could be a problem.
No,
But yeah, he's gonna be.
Dude, it's so stupid. Like, you watch him and you're like, this isn't real life. This doesn't exist in the world.
Yeah, yeah. It feels like you're watching, like, glitch my player.
Yeah. So
Like, you got mods on your PC? Shit.
yeah, it's a build. 2K doesn't let you
How'd
make
you get
the
his
build.
arms that long? Yeah,
2K
you can't make a
doesn't
build
let you
that's
make the
7'4"
build.
with an 8-foot wingspan.
That can shoot. It's crazy. So that's yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, my MVP going into the year, Aid.
Yeah.
It's hard to even like say that just with what we were just talking about.
Right. But coming into the season without added context.
Well, yeah. Coming into this year, I'm pretty comfortable with. I'm still fairly comfortable with it. My main reason, honestly, because I think the Pistons are going to take a major jump up. Spoiler, I don't know if we're gonna end up doing a full episode for our full standings predictions.
We can.
But yeah, I'd be down.
Right, yeah.
But I have Detroit at 1. And I think that Cade Cunningham is going to be the catalyst for a very good offense. I wouldn't be surprised to see either of or both or, 2 of the 3 of Ausar Thompson, Jaden Ivey, or Jalen Duren in the All-Star game next to Cade Cunningham.
Yeah. It probably won't be Jaden Ivey just because of his injury setback. I think he's missing another month or 2, but
yeah,
Ausar has looked really good. So
I was high on Cade going into the year. I am still high on Cade. I'm not gonna swap it out yet.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that Cade is go. I think that the Pistons are going to be excellent basketball this year. I think that Cade is going to be. I think that this is going to be like I think last year was kind of his quote unquote breakout year. I think that this is the year he goes from like, oh, this is a borderline. This is like a top 5 point guard to like, oh, this might be the best point guard in the. Like he
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that guy. I am very high on Cade Cunningham.
I like the pick. Now, through a week, has anything changed?
So we already talked about Rook, or we already talked about wait, which one? We already talked about Depoy. That one's not changing for me. I'm so far not going to change my MVP just because Cade has at least played very well.
Yeah,
Like he has played to the standard I thought he would. So I'm not going to change it just because there's an alien in San Antonio.
sure.
Um, that being said, when we do our quarter season predictions, it may be enough evidence at that point for me to go ahead and switch it out. My most improved player, I am going to keep it Nemhard, but that's another guy that I think I could switch out for, you know, maybe even another pacer. Benny's been
Ben Matherin.
unbelievable
Yeah.
through, 2 games. Um, Coach of the year, I'm gonna also keep it Ty Lue. The Clippers have looked pretty solid. They just won tonight against a rejuvenated Portland team. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep him up there just because I haven't seen enough. It's been 3 games. I haven't seen enough to put anybody else above him.
That's fair.
One change I am gonna make. I'm gonna change my rookie of the year. Um,
VJ
what?
to VJ.
No, I'm gonna change it to Dylan Harper.
Oh.
I think through 3 games, Dylan Harper has looked. I thought going into the year, I was like, Dylan Harper's going to be good. He's going to probably end up leading the second unit by February. I did not think he was going to be this polished this early. He has looked like potentially the best guard in San Antonio on a team that has, $100 million guard in Devin Vassell,
Yeah.
a rookie of the year guard in Stefan Castle. De'Aaron Fox hasn't played yet, but they've got an all-star guard in De'Aaron Fox, and Dylan Harper has looked like the best guy out of all of those dudes, and Stefan Castle is playing well.
Yeah.
I think that Dylan Harper like he just put up 20 today against Brooklyn. He's a good rebounder already. He's 6'6" or whatever. Like he's gonna be a good rebounder for a guard. But he has been aggressive on the boards. He is playmaking well. He is aggressive shooting the basketball. And so far they're falling. Like I think he's, shooting 40 something, maybe even 50% from the field this year. It doesn't matter. They're 3 games in and they're winning. But he's putting up good numbers. He's rebounding well. He's playmaking well. He's scoring, at a better rate than I thought he would. I think he's averaging like 15 so far
Yeah.
through 3 games. So I'm gonna go ahead. Like I do still think Cooper's gonna be very good, but I think that the Spurs are gonna have a spotlight on them with Wembanyama, which will help with Dylan Harper getting votes. And I think ultimately Dylan Harper, at this point, 3 games in, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just make my rookie of the year prediction for overall be Dylan Harper. I love him, and I love his game, and I love what the Spurs are doing with him.
That's fair. Um, I I don't know how much I want to change my pick. I was thinking VJ Edgecombe,
Okay,
because he's just been
that's another good one. He's
insane
been
through
great.
through his first 2 games. He had 36 one game and then I think 15 the other game. But he's been rebounding well. He's been playing the defensive side of the ball pretty well for a rookie. The only question mark I have for him at this point is just minutes, because at some point Jared McCain's going to come back, and VJ's been playing like 40 minutes a game right now,
Right.
and that's just not sustainable for a season. And so I am worried that at some point, Jared McCain comes back, you run him with Tyrese Maxey, VJ gets bumped to the bench, his production drops a little bit. I just through the course of a whole season, I don't know how much he can keep that up. So that's kind of my hesitation with putting VJ in the conversation. I also think Cooper Flag just has a lot of hype around him. I could see it being like a LeBron Carmelo thing where Dylan Harper or VJ or whatever has a really good rookie year, but Cooper Flag has a pretty good one as well, and so just with
Keep it
the
up
hype
16, 9, and 7 or whatever.
Yeah, still a deserved rookie of the year, but then with the hype he had coming into the NBA, it kind of bumps him up a little bit. So I'm gonna keep it with Cooper.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a stacked race, dude. I am excited for the rookie of the year race. I'm not quite ready to say we're gonna see a rookie all-star this year, but I think it could be in the cards. Especially look at that Eastern Conference. Look at that guard. Look at the guard spots.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, dude.
It's possible.
I don't know.
And then another highlight, I guess I wanted for most improved. I still do have Denny. He's looked great through the Blazers' first few games. But I also want to highlight Davion Mitchell. He had a really, really good first game, and then his production's kind of gone back down a little bit through the last two. But I think Davion, for one, I think the Heat have looked better than I thought they were going to look coming into the season. And when we do our preseason conference standings predictions, that will be highlighted. But he's an Eric Spoelstra player. He fits that team well. I think defensively he's obviously really good. I think he's going to be put in positions offensively where he's going to be able to set up plays and become more of a facilitator than he has been in his previous stints in the league. Just kind of, I'd say he hasn't really been a priority offensively, which is fair because I think his offensive bag is a little limited. But in this team, I mean, while Tyler Hero is out, he has to be the facilitator. And especially now they just lost Terry Rozier to the Feds. He's going to have to take a step up. I think, like I said, I'm still keeping the Denny pick. He's been playing incredibly through the first few games, but keep an eye out for Davion Mitchell. I think that's a sneaky little pick there.
I like that one a lot.
Thank you. Anything else we want to cover for this episode?
I don't really have anything. I think we kind of covered everything I had.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Well, to those of you watching, thank you for watching. This return to hiatus. Hopefully we can continue this for a long time. There's going to be probably some changes with formatting and stuff as we figure out how we want to do this new, this continuation. But thank you for watching. We got a dare I say one of the more fun seasons in recent NBA history ahead of us here.
I would agree.
I'm very excited for it. So stay tuned for more basketball content and sneak peek. Stay tuned for maybe some other sports content in there as well. Who knows what could happen? So thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.